Al Shalamti, Tanastinin, Xavier Yimeskin, Hotep, greetings. Gentlemen, precious ladies and learning students, welcome to another episode of Learning. Notice Dr. Yates says of learning. Why? Because on this day, we are going to be addressing the word grassology. Not grassmatics, grassology. Here on the board, we have the word grassology. And what does this word mean? Grassology means the study of comprehension. Ology means study of. Grasp means to grab a hold with the mind, mental learning. So, grassology can be defined or explained as the study of learning things mentally based on the four principles of grassmatics: perception, reasoning, rhythm, and restoration. They wrongfully pronounce this word restoration. No one is resting here. You are restoring. Restoration. Here we have the 9 topics Dr. Yates has been talking about when he mentioned the word grassology. For those folks who've watched Dr. Yates on YouTube or on the TV, remember this. When Dr. Yates is not on television, then you're watching tell-lie-vision. That's what I call it, tell-lie-vision. Because there's so many programs on there that is based on illusion, lies, it's concepts, conceptual ideologies. So I call it tell-lie-vision or tell-a-lie-vision, right? Tell-a-lie-vision or tell-lie-vision when Dr. Yates is not on. Now, for those folks who are watching me on TV, you're not watching tell-lie-vision, you're watching tell-my-vision, right? This is Dr. Yates' vision that you're watching. So you're watching tell-my-vision when Dr. Yates is on your TV. Thank you. Here we are on Tell My Vision. Dr. Yates addresses grassology. Previously, he has talked about the 9 topics and not subjects. Remember, topic, top. You pick that was on top, and that was on top is what is in the cosmos, right? All the wise learnings in the cosmos. That's what Dr. Yates is speaking and bringing to you here on earth. So he is into topics and not subjects. Sub means below. And ject as in to refuse as in rejection. Right? Rejection means to refuse all over again. Rejection. So we're not into no subject. We are into topics here. And these are the topics Dr. Yates is addressing. First one is what you've been hearing a lot about, which is grassmatics. Wow. And many students are popping their P's when it comes to this word, including teachers, which is great. And ma and muafas, mothers and fathers. Grassmatics. You got to pop the P. Why do we have to pop our P in this word? Why? Use perception and tell me why. Exactly, because this P symbolizes what? Power. It's a powerful way of learning, and the P symbolizes perception, right? It's a perceptual way of looking at math. So we pop our P. If you do not pop the P, it sounds like grassmatics. Grass that you walk on, grass that the cow and the horse and the goat and the sheep eat? No. This is grass with a P. We pop our P in this word. All right? Great. So one of the topics is grassmatics in the study of grassology. The other is linguistics. Dr. Yates dabbles a lot in linguistics. You hear words, Dr. Yates breaks them down, breaks down the etymology of the word, right? And etymology meaning what the word meant originally in that ethnic group of people before it was brought over to another culture. ETP, establishing the point. The so-called language that is known as English is a language that is mixed with many borrowed words from other languages. And that is why it can be so confusing. I think even prior to that, it was still confusing. Because the folks, the Anglo-Saxons, right, when they were speaking, most of the words is based on grubbled sounds, like cave folks' way of talking. So to make their language become much more colorful and presentable, they borrow from other languages, from other cultures that was much more developed than they were. And that's why you find French words in the English language. You find Spanish words, Portuguese words, Latin words, German words in the English language. You find even Ivrit, they call Hebrew words in the language. There's several words you'll find in the English so-called language because it's a borrowed language. And that's why most European, when I lived and studied in Germany for 6 years, a lot of Germans tell me they don't really like speaking English because it's confusing and it's not truly a language, meaning on its own. So they only speak it because it's the most popular commercial language in the world. Right. That which is called English is the most popular commercial English language in the world. Meaning because of commerce, of business and trade, etc. ETP. Again, ETP, establishing the point. ETP, establishing the point. I have met people in Germany, right, that speaks Nihongo. Nihongo is the name of the language they call Japanese. So I've met people who speak Nihongo, and I've met people who speak Tagalog. Tagalog is the language that the Filipinos speak, right? So they're trying to talk to each other. The guy from the Philippines can't speak Nihongo, which is what they call Japanese, what most Europeans call Japanese. And the guy from Japan, he cannot speak Tagalog. Tagalog is what they speak in the Philippines. So when they decide to talk to each other, guess what language they decide to speak? You're right, English. Why? Because this particular language is known as the most popular commercial language around the world. So most people, when they cannot speak to another person in the indigenous language, they prefer to do it in English. Right? Because that is well popular around the world. Why is it so popular around the world? Well, here are some of the reasons. England was known to be the greatest empire around the world at one time. Well, the latest of all empires. Rome was an empire, the Greeks had empires, you know, etc. And even the Nubians, Egyptians, Kemeticians, so they call Egyptians, had theirs too. And even Islamic, oh wow, yes, Islam spread all the way up to Europe. Yeah, Spain, all those countries, Islamic was dominated by the Islamic people. Now, so you had different empires, but England was known to be the latest of our time. Now, it seems like the United States is trying to be that. That's why you see the United States and Afghanistan, Iraq, and other countries. And people say it's not going to work. But England has been the latest empire in our time, meaning that it has been said that this is the only empire that the sun never sets. Wow. What does that mean? That means England had controlled, dominated, invaded and dominated and colonized countries all the way from Indonesia to the Caribbean. So we're talking from east to west. So what happened is that wherever England flag flew, the sun always shines. Right. That's why they say this was the empire where the sun never sets. Wow, interesting. So you find indeed that a lot of nations, right, a lot of places that are being conquered by England because they were colonized, they had to speak English by force. So that was the forced language upon them. So that became, and because of trading, how England traded around the world, that language became well known in many countries that never spoke English before. All right? So that is the reason why English is the most commercial language, because of business and also invasion. Because of business invasion, that's why the language became very popular. But at the same time, it's very confusing. That reminds me of a story. Let me tell you the story about Shaka Zulu in South Africa. You've heard of Shaka Zulu? If you haven't, then write to me. I'll be more than happy to send you a copy of a DVD of the story of Shaka Zulu, which is very enlightening, very educational. Now, Shaka Zulu of South Africa, of the Zulu tribe, the king of the Zulu tribe at one time, what happened is that he was so popular and powerful that he was able to influence other people of South Africa, of other different clans and tribes, to join his force to fight against the British. Because England at that time they invaded South Africa and tried to expand the domain in which they had in South Africa, and the only people that really put up a fight with them were the Zulus in South Africa. Other indigenous tribes did too, right? But the Zulus were the one that really did give the British a run for their money. However, in the documentary that I have about Shaka Zulu is this: they couldn't conquer Shaka Zulu. He was so powerful, and they dread him. The Europeans feared him. When I worked for dread, fear, they feared him terribly.